Let me introduce our speaker now, though, Bill Nussey. Bill has a very distinguished career, but is the current CEO of a wonderful company called Silverpop Systems that has early background in email marketing, and has since from that platform expanded even further into complete marketing automation. Bill is probably one of the most original thinkers that I've come across in having met quite a few very thoughtful business executives.
I actually think this is like the fifth or sixth time I've come here. I'm not sure, but this is one of the things I really get excited about, because it is an opportunity to think some original thoughts, and I really enjoy the questions and answers, the questions we get afterwards. This is a particularly unique opportunity for me today because several of my colleagues have shown up to come to this, and so just so you know, your bonus checks will be in the deposit soon, but I appreciate you all coming out. So Mike and I always have fun brainstorming on what it is that we're going to talk about. Silverpop's an Atlanta-born company. We just about 400 people. We have offices in London and Munich and the West Coast, and we really feel like we're at the cutting edge of the transformation of marketing from traditional old school, very few channels, to the new school where every single thing you do, every single touch is really part of an overall marketing program. That is exactly what I'm going to talk about today. So I want to give you a quick introduction to what I think the world of marketing is becoming, and then we're going to talk about the 4 big changes. I had like 12, and I had to narrow it down for the sake of time, so the 4 that kind of were the pithiest, and then I'm going to talk about how some ideas that we've learned trying to survive in all of these crazy, tumultuous times of marketing change, and then I'll wrap up, and if we hopefully have plenty of time for questions. So without further ado, if you are 25 years old and you are running a consumer media company, everything I'm going to tell you is totally obvious, and this is a waste of your time and you can leave. If you've actually been marketing for more than a decade like I have, then some of the things that I'm learning may be of some value and insight to you guys. Because if you go back a while ago, 20 years, it wasn't that long ago, there was very few channels. We had television, we had radio, we had billboards and other kinds of big outdoor advertising. We had print, newspapers and magazines, and lastly we had press releases. And if you pretty much knew a couple of those, you were in the marketing business. There wasn't a whole lot more to do, particularly in B2C marketing. You'd hire an agency and they would do all this stuff for you, and you'd spend a fortune because killing trees and printing things and buying TV ads is very expensive. But that's what we did, and it worked. Heck, 50 years ago, all you had to do was run an ad on television and you could sell a lot of Tide, regardless of the quality of the product or the price. It was amazing times. No more. So today, we have different channels. We have email, we have ad banners all over the place. We have websites. When I was at IXL in 1999, our pitch was, we can build you a website because you don't have one. Novel idea. Today, and we used to charge millions for them. It was a really exciting time to be in the web business. But now you have to have a website, and you can do one for pretty much free that's very high quality. And of course, the king of all marketing is search. And it would be great if that was the only thing we had to worry about, but there's some other things going on as well. There's this whole thing of webinars, if you're in the B2B business, a little thing called YouTube, which businesses for consumers and B2B businesses have discovered is something that really works. It's a little thing called mobile and SMS. There's an iPad. Anyone have an iPad? And the whole idea, of brand new mediums to deliver content that we've never envisioned as possible before. Now marketing is done through apps. You still need to know television, radio, billboards, and press and newspapers. So the number of things that marketers are facing today as opportunities is absolutely frighteningly daunting. And just for the record, I do marketing, I sell to marketers, I live in the world of marketing, and it is incredibly daunting, and I have no idea what to do. So if you feel overwhelmed by it, join the crowd. You're not missing anything. There's no secret that you need whispered in your ear that's going to make everything straightforward. It's absolutely crazy. And there is good news in it. I'm going to tell you what it is. But the funny thing that I find ironic is that nobody disagrees with all the things I've just shown you. Nobody says, oh, those things don't really matter. The internet's a fad. I've heard that, but no one says it anymore. And if you were to go to 90% of the marketers out there, despite they agreeing vehemently with every single thing I just said, the first thing they do is a press release. What are the fundamental drivers? And the one that we talk about at Silverpop, which we don't have any products or solutions for, but I think is the most fundamental of all drivers, is branding. And that is branding as we know it. and have known it for 20 or 30 years is pretty much dead. And branding as in its new form is more important than branding has ever been. So branding is dead, long live branding. Your brand has never mattered more in marketing than it does now, and you have never been more unable to control the brand that matters to you. It is a dichotomy that some companies have learned the hard way. And what you do is you'd sit there in your ivory tower, it's up there at the top, and the marketers would sit up here, and they would think about things. They would think about things like television ads and Clio awards, and they would walk up and down Madison Avenue and drink martinis and think about how they can spend millions of dollars to tell a story. And you know what? And up until probably the late 90s, it actually worked. And unfortunately, it all changed. And I don't know who these people are, but I guarantee you, whatever company you're in and wherever you work, these people and millions others like them are defining your brand. What's changed is that as companies, we live in a world of total transparency. Every single thing we do, every time we touch a customer, is witnessed by somebody and more often memorialized in a blog, in a tweet. So if anybody wants to find out about you, to get an opinion, whether or not you want to buy this brand of plastic cup or this kind of laptop or this kind of clicker, within 30 seconds, most people, and particularly my 14-year-old, is capable of finding out every single thing you'd ever want to know. How long exactly will this battery last, and how does it compare on a price basis to the 7 other clickers that are identical, made in the same factory in China? Most of us who have been in marketing for a long time think about publishing. We craft our message just right, we tune the words, we spend hours, days, weeks on just the right phraseology, and then we publish it. And we try to publish it all at once across all channels because that's how we do marketing. But in fact, in the new world, marketing is not a statement, it's not a press release, it's not a branding tagline, it's a dialogue. It's a constant dialogue with hundreds of and thousands of influencers for your company and millions of people across the world that are buying your products, your competitors' products, and everything else. So I try to tell people to think about marketing as a dialogue. And it's funny how quickly people say, well, I can't actually have a dialogue with 1,000 customers or 10,000 customers or 1 million customers. One of the companies I love is a company here in town called MailChimp. I bet a bunch of you have heard of it. I bet more people here have heard of MailChimp than my company. And MailChimp's a young, not venture-backed company, and they have built an amazing brand because they went absolutely viral. They had a crazy personality, crazy imagery. They look like they're a ton of fun. They are a ton of fun. And that little company built an international brand in like 2 or 3 years with virtually no marketing based on the strength of having a personality. So be remarkable. So how do we tell the story in a compelling way? And so somewhere in some brainstorming session, someone said, well, why don't we just, we need to figure out a way we could explain to children, and then we can work our way from there. And so, long story short, what we ended up doing was creating this little book called Sincerity's Magic, which is we announced at our European Customer Conference last week, and I got a giant red chair up in front of hundreds of European marketers and sat up there and put my reading glasses on and read this book one page at a time. And this book is interesting because it's goofy as heck. It's written actually for children, but there's a theme for marketers because we tend to be very professional and clinical in our marketing, and this is goofy. Maybe stupid goofy, but you have to try. Maybe actually brilliant goofy or maybe stupid goofy, but we're going to try it. And I remember I got back from the customer conference in London, and one of the Brits came up to me. He says, one of the sales guys, he goes, "Yeah, I was pretty nervous about you reading that book to our customers." And I said, "Wow, okay." He says, "Yeah, we were all nervous about it because we didn't know how the customers would like it." And I said, "Well, how did it go?" And he said, "Actually, it went really well." He said, "It really helped that you're American." I don't know. So the second big change, everything is marketing. So what does that mean? Every single thing you do is marketing now. It used to be that marketing was marketing, and it worked really well. You had a department called marketing, and if the marketing needed to be done, that department did it, and that's pretty much where it started and stopped. But if you look at the definition, it's a technique of promoting, selling, and distributing a product or service. In the world of total transparency, all that changes. So my belief is that sales is now marketing. Support is marketing. Dell will tell you that support is marketing because they got some of the worst marketing ever because the support stunk. One of my favorite case studies, we had the CEO of Zappos come speak at our customer conference earlier this year. And Zappos, if you're not familiar with them, is this unbelievable success story of a company that sells shoes. And they got bought by Amazon for like $1 billion, $2 billion a year and a half ago. I mean, it was an incredible story. And again, if you're 25 or 30, you probably buy your shoes from them. But I buy my shoes from them now because once I used the company, it was the most amazing experience. And they went from $0 to $1 billion in an incredibly crowded, incredibly undifferentiated space, selling shoes against 4 or 5 totally focused shoe online retailers. And they shot up and dominated the space, got bought by Amazon for a fortune with virtually no marketing, because they understood that, I think it was the fourth one, support is marketing, service is marketing. And the experience, if you have not bought from Zappos, it is worth a case study. The third big change, this is one I'm really passionate about, is that relationships are the new acquisition. You know, if you go out and you talk to any marketing conference, you talk to any marketer, there's an axiom that everyone holds true, and I think is true, that it pretty much costs about 5 times as much to get a new customer as it does to keep an existing customer. I don't know if anyone would disagree with that. It's just taken as a truism. I have never seen, including in my company, a marketing department anywhere whose budget reflects that reality. Marketers love acquisition. They love paying search companies. They love paying lead generation companies. They love bringing new customers in. I will make a prediction for you that in 5 or 10 years, the notion of interruptive acquisition marketing is going to take a serious hit. And the noise is getting louder and louder. This is a picture from the book, but acquisition is interruption. The basic nature of acquisition is, and search is wonderful because it bridges the gap, but virtually every other kind of acquisition marketing involves interrupting you while you're doing something else, right? I'm reading a newspaper article, online or in paper, and there's an ad there that I wasn't looking for, but I might pay attention to it because it's clever or in the right spot. There's a billboard down the road. I'm reading it, not looking at the road. I'm on the radio. I'm reading a blog, and there's Google ads all down the side. I didn't want to see those Google ads, but they're there. They're bothering me, but I might read them because it's relevant to what's on the blog. And I'm reading my Gmail, and there's a bunch of ads. And so almost all of advertising by its nature is interruptive. And that's starting to become a problem because no matter where customers go, where buyers and prospects go, they're getting interrupted like crazy, and they're getting really tired of it. The beauty of a new medium like social is that we have to learn new patterns to ignore the stuff we're not interested in. But as humans, that's what we're going to do. And so, you know, the original business Silverpop was in was largely focused on email. And for years, as Mark Twain liked to say, the rumors of its death were greatly exaggerated. And what was going to happen to email, and you might have heard this, was that email was a horrible problem because there was all the spam and it was going to get killed. And what was really going to happen was social networks, which were closed and good networks. They're going to take care of us, and we're going to, you know, the 18-year-olds are all in social networks. By the way, they use email when they get a job, but before they have jobs, they're on social networks, and social networks are good and cozy because it's just their friends. Has anyone actually looked at their tweet feed or their news feed in Facebook? It's got more crap than your inbox. And we've got decades of experience. My inbox has got these really powerful tools for spam detection, and I can have a junk box, so stuff I missed I can find. That doesn't exist in Facebook. But there's only one I read every single time, which is Silicon Valley Bank. And if you don't subscribe to Silicon Valley Bank's, it is the pithiest, funniest, brilliantly insightful, cynical view of the world that you'll ever read. And it's just hilarious. And these authors come up with these incredibly brilliant, and they tend to lean a little left sometimes and a little right sometimes, but if you can overlook that, it's very entertaining, and that's the first one I read. And then when I'm in their newsletter, I read everything else they have to say. And they're not even a company that could take us public. And so my point is that if they're engaging and they understand content that's focused on what I'm interested in, they get my attention. So the fourth big change, the future of marketing is engagement. And I've used the term engagement several times. If you live in the marketing world, it's a term that's been around for about 2 or 3 years. I would like to tell you that if you go and search for it, we were the first company to use it broadly, but nobody cares. But it's a term that's being widely used by a lot of companies now, and it's the notion that marketing is moving from blasting at people and interrupting them to actually bringing them in and talking to them. You guys, several of you, are engaged right now. You're listening to what I'm saying. Several of you are about to fall asleep. All right. Well, thank you very much. It's an honor and flattering to be here. Take care.